Hello. Today's guest is Gail Johnson. And I have to tell you, I have to warn you, this is a juicy episode. And I think it's going to be one of my favorites. And I love this whole stuff that's about what she does. It's just so fascinating. She's a medium and she shares some really crazy stories. Let me tell you, crazy stories. But we also talk about Gail's journey over the past 8 months. I think I calculated it to be that. She and I met when she first joined, and we talk about this in the episode, but when she joined one of my free trainings. And so it's been quite a journey where she was and where she is now. And I'm not going to steal the thunder. You can just listen to the episode, but she has launched an amazing program who is helping people who are dealing with grief and loss. And she did it in basically 6 months or less. I think she did from the time she started my Second Half S.P.A.R.K school, which there was nothing on the radar in terms of building this program and even had an inkling of what it would be. And what she did in just a very short amount of time, when we actually started working on, when she and I got together in terms of like, okay, she said, I'm going to do this business. I want to create something. I want to create more impact. And she talks about how she got a nudge to do this. So that was probably in July. And then in July, August, September, October, 4 months, she had created a name for a program, created the program, and started a beta and had 15 people. She had a limit. She wouldn't let more than 15 people in. And she actually had more clamoring. Oh, I can't believe I can't get in. So of course, she's going to roll it back out, but she wanted to limit so she could make it really, she can kind of like build it with the people and get feedback. And then when she officially launched it, which she's going to be doing soon, so she could even make it even better. And so, that's how I was taught to build my program. And so she, of course, is now using me as a mentor to help her. And so I am so impressed, so proud of her, and that she's like making such a big difference now. And the people she's helping, I love the fact that she did it before Christmas. When you might think, oh, I just want to coast through Christmas because I just want to enjoy the holidays. No, her number one priority was to help other people and make sure their Christmases were better and that they weren't suffering from the loss of a loved one over Christmas. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you love Gail as much as I do. She's got a great accent. So listen in and enjoy. It's a little bit of a longer episode, but I think it's so worth it. So here we go. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives. And I have with me somebody who's doing a podcast interview for the first time. And I'm super excited to have her here because she is one of my students and one of my now clients that I work with one-on-one, because she has gone from really a huge transformation in the past, I would say 8 months. It's been 8 months, Gail?
Yeah, or is probably.
Yeah.
8 months, something.
Yeah. Like I mean, it's less than a year. And she has just gone fast tracked into her she's so sparked. And, she started my Second Half S.P.A.R.K school. And then I didn't even realize, and we can talk about this, Gail, but I didn't even realize that she had a business. I remember she had a desire. I remember we talked, and I thought you were like somebody who was creative, but AKA artsy, like you did crafts or something. I had no idea what she really does. And then she realized through the process of going through the Second Half S.P.A.R.K school that she wanted to make a bigger impact. And so she's one of the people I call difference makers. In this training I'm doing, I talk about 2 types of Second Half S.P.A.R.K tools. There's passionate achievers, and they're kind of like just really sparked and excited about life and what they do, and they set goals and that kind of thing. But then the difference makers are the ones that have a higher desire to affect a larger, collective. And what Gail does is so fascinating. I've had, she's a medium, and I've only had 2 before on my podcast. And one was with talk to dogs and one was talk like you do. And so I'll put the links for those episodes because they're really fascinating. So fascinating. I get so like excited about this stuff. And it's something I know Gail will talk about this probably that we all have inside of us, but we're just all really, we have all these cloaks around us that prevent us from this connection. But some people have, and she realized this gift when she was a child, and so she'll speak to that. But I'm really excited for a couple reasons. She's going to come on here and she's going to talk about what she's doing now, which is I'm very excited about because she's making a big difference, and she decided to do it before Christmas, and we can talk about why she did that. A lot of people, when they decide to do something that's scary, and I'm going to make this program and I'm going to put it out there, they let fear and they're like, push it off. And they're like, oh, I'll just wait till after Christmas, because nobody wants to do this at Christmas. And so, but for her program, for a reason, she wanted to do it for Christmas. And she's helping these people, and it's so amazing. But also she's going to inspire people because, we all have these gifts, and it's like finding those gifts and knowing what those gifts are and seeing how you can make the world better with your gifts. So I love that this conversation that we're going to have before we even have it. So welcome to the program, Gail Johnson.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you asking me to be here. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. And so, I'm excited that you've invited me.
Yeah. So yeah, and your new students that you have will be able to listen to this and hear more about your journey. But yeah, I wanted to also say that you're from New Orleans.
I am. I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah. So you can hear a little bit of her accent. And it's
Yeah.
funny because what you do is sometimes when I think of the stuff you do, I think of New Orleans. I don't know why I think of that. Is
It's a
there some
very
history there?
spiritual, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a very spiritual city. There's a lot of history here, and we kept really good records too of, births and deaths and things like that. And so a lot of people know, the ancestors and stuff that are here. And so I just feel like, especially here, especially in the French Quarter, there are a lot of, really old spirits, and some of them are not so nice either. But I feel like just in general, everywhere I go, there's spirits, there's somebody,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
all have them with us.
Yeah. So can you talk a bit about where you were when we connected? I think we just connected randomly through one of my free trainings that I did last
Right.
May. Yeah.
I felt a calling to the words that came to me were reach the masses. I needed to reach the masses. I was doing one-on-one. I had done like group readings a while back and did too many of them, made me sick. And then so I went to just doing one-on-one. But then one-on-one kind of wasn't enough. I was getting to people one at a time, but then as I prayed, I felt like I was called to do more. There was something more I needed to do. And the message came that I needed to reach the masses, and I didn't know how to go about doing that. And so I just was, I really feel like you were sent to me. I know I've told you that, but, I was praying and and what I specifically prayed for was to please send me the people that I need to connect with in order for me to be able to reach the masses, to teach me to help me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing, I was on Facebook and an ad popped up for not your average grandma. And I had never seen an ad like that before. Nothing like that had ever come up before. And I was like, and the name, not your average grandma, of course, that, attracted me. And I thought, what is this lady about? Like, what is she doing? And you were having a free training, and so I was like, I don't know about her, honestly. I was like, I don't know. And then I thought, well, she popped up for a reason. Somebody's leading you there. And I have a connection with the Blessed Mother, Mary. And so I was like, the Blessed Mother's leading you to her for some reason. So click on the ad and just see what it's about. And so that's what I did. And then I ended up going through the training, and it was funny because it wasn't what I expected. I'll be honest, I was like, oh, not your average grandma, what she's going to talk about, like grandma stuff, people that are not, that are, doing great feats of, or I thought it was more about exercise and fitness and stuff like that, and I thought this is what it's going to end up being. And it wasn't that at all. Right. And then I kind of connected with a lot of what you were talking about, right? Because it was a lot of things that I already knew spiritually, a lot of it. But anyway, I just connected with that. And then I was like, okay. And then I was resistant. Do you want me to go into that too?
Yeah, because I did something that I never do. And because I felt, actually it was because I got an email from somebody, and it was the day after the deadline. And so the doors were closed, and I got an email from somebody that was so heart-wrenching, and I wasn't sure. And I'm so glad that I did what I did, because I wasn't sure when I was going to reopen the doors. And I was thinking fall, but as it turned out, a lot of other things came up during the fall. So I didn't open doors in the fall. So this person who has had a huge transformation that sent me the email wouldn't have been able to do the program until now, because, well, when I opened the doors again, but I opened them like late January, and I'm going to do it again. So I decided, okay, I'll let her in, which, I just felt that I needed to do that for her. The way her email was written, it wasn't just like, I missed the deadline, I'm so sorry, can I still join? It was like this whole long explanation of who she was, that that she's done this before, and she regrets the things that she hadn't done. I mean, it's just such a well written, and I knew that she was somebody who, if she did this, she would show up and she would really commit to it. And so what I did is I said, there's probably other people like her. And I think what I'm going to do is, I just had this like kind of nudge to do a call, to just do a free call. And it was a Zoom call, and whoever wants to come, and I'll let those people who show up in the Zoom call, I'll talk to them, I'll coach them, I'll see what they need. And you were one of them.
And I was one of them.
Yeah.
I resisted, like I said, I resisted the call, and I resisted it, thinking that maybe you weren't what I was supposed to do or whatever, and resisted it. And then when you said, well, I'm going to do this call, get on the call, I got another nudge, and I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest, like I did not like that I kept getting nudged, and saying,
Yeah.
go do this, go do this. And I was like, okay. And I knew I needed to do something, and I asked for it, right? I asked to please send me the people or person or whatever to be able to do it. And I got nudged again, and I remember even telling my daughter, I'm not doing it. I'm not, like I'm not going to do it. And then I got this nudge again, and I was like, okay. And then when I went on and I heard you again, and I was like, you need to do this. Like, you just need to. And so again, like I didn't, that's kind of been the story. When am I going to learn the lesson to just do things? I don't know, because I kind of resist a bit. But I do end up giving in. And when I do, I feel so much better. It makes me feel so great, and things get so much easier after, right?
Yeah.
So then I joined, and then, yeah, a lot of
And then the
stuff.
timing was perfect, because my business coach opened the doors. He only opens them once a year. And for the first time, I decided I wanted to support him and be an affiliate for him. And so you joined that because you were like, I need the how-to, and he's like the master at that.
Right.
So then we worked together more, because as an affiliate, I have a package that I sell with that, or actually it comes with the affiliate. So yeah, so I did that, and you were a part of that, and that was really amazing. And then when that ended, you were like, I want you to continue to work with me, because you realize you're doing it much faster with this
Right.
accountability that we have.
Right.
I can't believe, honestly, you are like the dream client to have, because we talk about something and you're like, you have this little resistance, because you're like, oh, it's I remember you were first learning the platform that is now where your course resides, and you figure things out. but you complain about it a lot, but it's like,
It's frustrating to me.
I've learned that she like resists verbally, but then she goes and does it and attacks it. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, which is amazing. It's like, yes, you can do it. You like, look at the impact you're making. So yeah, that is a lot of the path that led you to where you are. Let's go back. Tell me when you realized you had this gift.
The first time I was 5 years old, I was with my dad at a hardware store, and I always loved going anywhere with my daddy. If my daddy was going for a ride, I was going with him, right? So I went with him to the hardware store. We walked in, and I could feel, I don't know, it was heavy. So is the best way I know how to describe it. Very heavy. I didn't like it. And when we went to go pay for what we got, the older man, there was an older man that was behind the clerk, he was behind the desk, and man, I didn't like him. But behind him there was another man, and when I was younger, I was able to see, like I see you, I am no longer able to do that. But and so I saw him and I didn't like him, and he had like this weird smile on his face, and like I was like, okay, no. And I was like wrapping myself around my daddy's leg. My daddy was tall. I was wrapping myself around his leg. And, my daddy was like, what is wrong with you? And I said, I don't like that man. I do not like that man. And the clerk guy, he looked at me and he said, oh, why don't you like me? I didn't do anything. Like, why don't you like me? And I said, not you, the other man. And then, as an
I got
adult,
chills. Oh
yeah,
my God.
when I had this, after I had this memory as an adult, and I remember like how my dad and the guy looked at each other like, what man, and I was like, no, that man. And I kept pointing at behind him and saying, that man, that man. And I was like, I don't like him, and I was like scared. And my dad would pick me up and he said, she's really very tired, it's like nap time, whatever, and he paid, and we promptly left the place. And after that, that kind of happened often where, I would say something and my dad would pick me up and say, oh, she's really tired. And then, and I remember one time we were going to Pontchartrain Beach. Anybody that's from New Orleans is going to know about the Pontchartrain Beach. It was an amusement park growing up. And, I'm the baby. I have 4 older siblings. I'm the baby of 5, right? And so we were all ready to go to the beach. And that was a big deal for my family to go, because it, wasn't cheap for them to take 5 kids to the beach, right? So we were going to the beach, and I was waiting outside for my mom and dad. My brother comes up to me and he says, you better not get tired on the, while we're out there. You better be able to keep up with the rest of us. You better not get tired, because we're not leaving early because you're tired. And I was like, okay, because what he knew was every time Gail got tired, we all had to leave, and I never understood it myself because I really wasn't tired,
Yeah.
but I don't know. And it's funny because my dad, it wasn't until he was 90, he died at 99. So when he was 90 years old, it wasn't until he was 90 that he actually acknowledged verbally to me that he knew I had that gift. And
Did somebody in the family have it before? Then he
his
knew
grandmother, my dad's grandmother did. And my dad did, but he never talked about it until, like I said, when he was 90, he told me about it. And then he lived with me for the last 5 years of his life. And he had very short-term memory. Like he would ask the same thing over and over and whatever. And so I don't know if this is nice or not, but I took advantage of that and started asking him questions when he, about because he told me one time, oh, I hear the voices. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, I do too. What voices are you hearing? And then he would stop, and he would be like, oh, what I'm talking about, like the voices on TV or something, like he wouldn't. And then eventually I would get him to say stuff. And he talked about his grandmother. She was French. And so he talked about her and saying how she told him, when he talked about the voices to her, how she told him not to tell anybody about the voices, because if he told anybody about the voices, they would come take him away. And she told him that she heard them too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't bad for us to hear those voices.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would love to talk about that, because one of the things that I love about you is you're clearly very faith-based. You read the Bible every day, operate through your faith. And it's funny because a lot of, like, the way your grandmother, that's what made me think about it, is your grandmother. It was like, other people sometimes think this isn't coming from God, or this isn't coming from, a higher power, that's coming from a bad source of some sort.
Mhm.
So is that why your grandmother didn't want you or your father, anybody, to know? What have you had, like, people that think that you're, a witch? They had the witchcraft trials in Salem and all that.
Sure, evil, that I'm from
Yeah.
the devil,
Yeah.
and so, even growing up when I was really little and I would say different things, and I would ask, hey, what about people that see spirits, that can talk to them or whatever? My dad would always say, well, we don't know where that power is coming from. And for a while, I kind of thought maybe I was the devil. Maybe the power wasn't coming from God. Maybe it was coming from someplace else. And I had to kind of decipher. Finally, I realized that it is coming from God, that it's about the light, because I'm all about the light. I'm not about promoting darkness. I'm all about promoting the light, and raising your vibration, and being kind to each other, and all the things that are, of God, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I choose to call him God, because I was raised Catholic, and I still use the pronoun him. But it's a source, and that source is, we all belong to that source, right? And so I know that. But yes, I have had people that have told me that I don't know, I don't want to fool with you, because the devil can disguise himself as my grandma and come and tell you something, and then you're telling it to me, and then God won't be pleased with me. And it says in the Bible not to, I forget exactly what the word, necromancers, don't fool with necromancers and mediums and such, like that they're I guess fake, or whatever. And I'm not a psychic. I want to make that differentiation. I'm not psychic. I don't know future. I don't predict the future. I do feel like only God knows our future.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe in providence. So I believe that God has a plan for everybody. And I know that things can change, and that you can't predict somebody's future because things can change. A person can change, their heart can change. So the only being that knows what that person is going to do to me is God. So I don't predict the future. What I am able to do is communicate with people who've passed away. I can communicate with the angels, and I can communicate with spirit guides, people that are from, one thing that I believe too is that we're not here just one time. I believe that we come again and again, over lifetimes. And so spirit guides are from past lives that are helping you to learn the lessons that you've not been able to learn to this point.
Yeah.
So, but because of all of that, I do get a lot of folks that feel like, oh no, I don't want to come to you. And then what's so funny is I'll tell them, what I believe, that I believe in God, I believe in the saints, I believe in the angels, I pray every day. I know that the only reason I can do what I do is because God allows me to. I would
Mm-hmm.
not have this gift if it did not come from God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at the day that he doesn't want me to do it anymore, I'm not going to have it anymore.
Yeah.
And so when I start to talk to people, when people actually ask me questions and they kind of listen to what I'm telling them, they understand
Mhm.
that what I believe is God. What I know to be true is prayer. I believe in the power of prayer, and that what I am here to do is to help them to have hope, that there is something greater once we leave this physical plane, that there is something greater that we're going to. And I feel like with that hope comes the desire to learn more about God, about that realm. And so that's what I feel like I'm here for.
Yeah, and what's I think is so interesting is that you've used prayer to you said you heard that you needed to spread the word, have a bigger mission. You resisted it, but you continue to use prayer to tap in to that voice, which tells you to continue to do the next thing. And we can edit this out if you want, but we can leave it in. But I just want to speak to something that you told me earlier today,
Okay.
because she and I had a coaching call earlier today, but we were talking about her program. And when you think about, is it God or is it something evil? And she and we'll talk a little bit about her program, but her program is called H.O.P.E., and it has an acronym. So she has these beta members because she took them through the first time she ever did it and offered it at a discount. Like, we're creating it together kind of thing. And that's what you do if you really want to jump into this thing. And so she's getting feedback from the people now. And one of the people who, and a lot of these people have had trauma, and so they've lost somebody, and that's the reason she wanted to do it before December. Because think about how sad it is to go through the holidays when you have grief, when you have you're dealing with this tragedy. And so Gail, instead of relaxing and saying, oh, I'll just do this in January when it's more convenient for me, let me bust my butt and put this thing together, invite people, and I want them to have hope for this holiday season. I want them to be in a better headspace this holiday season. And so one of her clients was suffering because her child committed suicide a couple of years ago. And through what she's learned, and like I mean, somebody like this, it's like, I can't even imagine. And, clearly you can not be able to move forward with anything in life. And so she was very depressed, but she ended up helping somebody else who had a situation where their child was suicidal. And the person, and using what she's learned from Gail. So here she has hope now, and she now has purpose. Because can you imagine what has been lit inside of her, that she went from this depressed state, not knowing how to navigate life, and now she realizes she helped another mother from losing a child. And you wonder, like, why we're led in this way, in this path. And so more chills that I'm getting. So I just think that is so powerful, because you were spoken to. How can it be an evil thing that you're spoken to have this bigger mission so you can reach more people?
Right.
So you can help people have hope. And I love when we first started working together, she didn't even have this vision of a program. And then as it evolved and we went through this exercise, I help people with quizzes. And so we do this lot of work about, like, who would you want to help, and what are they struggling with, and where are their pain points, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I love coming up with acronyms, the S.P.A.R.K school. S.P.A.R.K means something.
Right.
And the hope, and you were like, I got it. I just remember that eureka moment, and was like, and it came to you. I don't know if it was a result of another
I
prayer.
asked my guardian angel, yeah.
Yeah.
So I asked my guardian angel one night when I was going to bed. I asked my guardian angel, I said, please help me to name the program. I said, I don't know. And I've always been about hope, hope, hope. Everything's been about hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up in the middle of, like, it was one of those sit up in the middle of the bed things. I just woke up, and then it was like, I got it, hope, hope, like, how did I not realize that that's what it needed to be?
Yeah. What does
And
it stand for? Share
it
what it stands
stands,
for.
yeah, healing, optimism, peace, and enlightenment. And so I take you through different modules in order to bring you from, to heal the hurts, and to recognize things that you need to let go of and release in order to heal and to move to the next piece, which is optimism, to help you to find an abundant mindset, so that you can, in a growth mindset, in order for you to feel optimistic about things. Peace is where we talk about meditation and how to bring yourself to a place of peace. And then enlightenment, of course, is putting all of those things together and then continuing down the journey. Like, our journey doesn't end. It's always ongoing. So that's the other thing. People are like, oh, okay, well, once I go through this, then it's over. Nope. It's, we're all works in progress, right? So we continue to go down the path. And so, yeah, we did a lot of explaining. They really enjoyed the community, the group that came together, the support that they had in that community, with each other. And I think that really helped. That was another reason why I wanted to do it before Christmas, and during the holidays, was because these people I knew needed community. They needed to know that they weren't alone, and that it was okay for them to feel what they were feeling. Everybody in that group suffered from loss of some sort, and that it was hard for them. So a few of them had lost children, husbands, things like that. So they just, it was hard for them, to get through the holidays. And so with this group and with this community, even though we kind of went through it kind of quick, we had to start it and end it, during the holidays. It was hard for everybody, but they showed up. It was important to them to come, to be a part of the group. And I had one of the younger girls told me that she didn't feel like she was suffering as much loss. Like, after she saw what other people were going through, she emailed me separately, and she was like, I feel bad that I took a spot in this group, because I really didn't suffer the loss that they did, and different things. And I said, no, but you can give the others hope. You can help them to see, hey, yeah, I had lost too, but she was just found out she was pregnant. She just bought a house. I said, so, you can share your happiness and joy with them, to help them to see, hey, life does continue to go on, and new life comes in, and it will give them hope as well. And because of that, then she started sharing more,
Mhm.
in the group. And so it was a good group. It
Yeah, and I
really,
think she also has this perspective of everybody. I think, sizes, when there's a community, sizes them up, and where is it? Do I have it worse, or do they have it worse, or whatever? And so it's good to have these people at different levels. And she probably came away with realizing, when she maybe entered, thinking, oh no, I have it worse. And all the cards that I've been dealt are against me, and I have these circumstances. But then she gets into this group, and she's like, oh my gosh, I
right,
actually don't have it so bad compared to
right.
other, so it's kind of interesting how there's always somebody, I think, who has it from your perspective better than you, and somebody who has it worse than you. And so it's kind of nice to
Absolutely.
get those different examples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. So do you mind saying your age?
Oh, no, I'm 59 years old. I turned 60 in July.
Yay. You'll be joining me in the
So
60s,
yeah,
60
it's
decade.
it's like, I can't believe I'm 60. It's
Yeah.
like that, just it cracks me up, because I remember, as a kid, you look at the 60-year-old ladies and the old ladies in the bunch, right? And I certainly don't feel old, but
No.
But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll be 60
So
in July.
so when did you start? Did you have a career before you became a medium? Like when did you start helping people? And I also want to, because you touched on something earlier, and I think some people might not have caught it.
Mhm.
And I think this is really important for the work you do, because in a way you needed to do what you're doing now to help more people, because you were saying how, well, first of all, you can, there's only so much time in a day you can help on a one-on-one, and that it makes you sick because you're dealing with this energy sometimes, and some, it's not all
Mhm.
good energy, right? And
Mhm.
so so what you're doing is really, for you, more healthy, and as well it's helping more people. So yeah, so I'm curious how kind of you transitioned into this work, or
Okay.
how long you've done it.
Yeah. So just on that note, I just want to say that I feel like I was called to do this program because I am getting older and it does deplete me. And this is a way for me to continue to be contributing to a lot of people without it depleting my energy. So yeah, absolutely true.
Mhm.
I got married very young. I was 19 when I got married and I had kids really young, and held a few jobs when I was younger, different jobs, different places, kind of trying to figure out my way, I guess, because I got married young and had children young. And then got divorced and everything, and got a job. I went to school. I went back to school. I had a child. I got divorced, and then I graduated from college. So I kind of
How old were you then?
I was about 32, maybe 33 when I got graduated college. And so I did everything the hard way. Everything the hard way is how I
Well, I
did it.
would say if you're going through all that, because clearly your relationship was in turmoil while you were going to school, so juggling kids, school, and then actually finishing is amazing.
Right. Well, perseverance, I guess.
Yeah.
So I graduated college, and I got a degree in education. So I was a school teacher for a while and actually taught computer education. And that was when computers were first, really getting into the schools and stuff. So I did that. And then I got a job in a worldwide international corporate company manufacturer, in their IT department, doing training and development. So I did IT training for them for about 13 or 14 years. I think I was doing that. And it was while I was working for them that I kind of had a similar experience, I guess, as the lady that wrote that book that you brought up earlier.
Yeah, nobody heard that, but we talked a little bit before I hit record, but I
Mm,
think I spoke of her. But yeah, she's a previous episode. I put it in the link in the show notes to that episode. But yeah, she was a medium, and she wrote a book about Beyond Ever After, and again, I'll put the link to that, about a client that she helped, and it's the woman that co-wrote the book with her was the wife of this coma patient who ultimately died. And it's such a powerful story. So that's what Gail is referring
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm resistant, right? And we've already established that. So here I was, in my 30s, and I've had this gift all my life. I never used it. To talk to other people. People thought I was weird. Kids thought I was weird growing up and stuff, never really told people what I could do or who I was or anything. And then Katrina happened here. Katrina, Hurricane Katrina happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was right after Katrina. I was at work, and it was the night before. It was and this man kept coming to me, kept coming to me, kept coming to me. It was this girl's grandpa, and I was friends with her at work, and I wasn't about to go up to her and tell her, "Hey, your grandpa came and talked to me." It just wasn't who I am. So I went to her and I told her I had a dream about her grandpa because she was having trouble with her little girl, and her little girl was having some developmental problems, and the grandpa wanted her to know she needed to help with with the little girl. Anyway, I went to my friend and I said, "Your grandpa came to me in a dream." I said, "I had a dream about your grandpa." I described her grandpa. I told her, he saying, get the little girl some help or whatever. And she's looking at me and she's like, why would my this is a girl that was an atheist, okay, did not believe in anything. She's like, and I knew that, that's why I didn't want to tell her anything. And she said, why would my grandpa come to you in a dream? Like, what is that about? And her grandpa had told me she was not going to believe me, and when she didn't believe me, to tell her floppy eared rabbit. And I'm like, okay, that's like crazy, right? Like a floppy eared rabbit. Like, no, that's dumb. Like, I'm not saying that. What does that even mean? Like, what? And so she was like, why would my grandpa come to you in a dream and all of this? And I said, I don't know. I said, but then he said something about a floppy eared rabbit. And she pointed at me and she said, you get the F out of my cube right now. Like, get away from me. She told me, get away from me. And I thought, oh no, I'm getting fired. Like, that's the end of me. So I was like, okay, I didn't mean to upset you. I'm sorry. I went back to my cube, and she comes at lunchtime. She says, we going to lunch. And I'm like, all right. So then we went to lunch, and she said, I want to know what's the real deal, because you didn't have a dream about my grandpa. I want to know what's really going on. So then I explained, I said, well, once I tell you, you're never going to look at me at the same again, and you're probably not going to want me around your family, your children, anything. And she said, just tell me. And so I told her, and, that her grandpa had come and, whatever. And she said, okay. She said, I just want you to, first of all, know, I don't believe in any of this, right? I don't believe in any of this crap. She's like, I don't. She said, but the only gift my grandpa ever gave me was a little floppy eared rabbit. She's like, that's the only thing he ever gave me. And she said, and there's no way that you could have known that unless you talked to my grandpa.
Mm.
And she said, so now I'm really mad at you, because now I have to go rethink my whole belief system because you told me floppy eared rabbit. And then she went and told her mom and her aunt what happened that day. And then her aunt is actually her mother's cousin anyway, but her aunt was just like, okay, I want to talk to this woman. I want to talk to my dad. I want to know, what's going on with my dad. And so she gave her aunt my phone number, and her aunt called me, and I was like, no, I don't do this for people. Again, being resistant. I don't do this for people. I just don't. And she said, please just come and talk to me. And so I was like, all right, I'll come talk to you. So I went and I talked to her. When I got to her house, she had 15 people waiting for me to talk to them. And I
Oh,
talked
no.
to everybody. I gave everybody a reading and talked to everybody. And then that was what broke the dam. Then they started giving my name out. And then I just started getting call after call after call. Please, can you come? Please, can you come? And that's how it got started, and that's what led me down that path. I was doing groups of people. I would do large groups of people, and then I would do like groups of maybe 6 to 10, and I was doing them often. And that's why I got sick, because I was letting go of too much energy and not replenishing it, right? And so I was doing that very often, and I kept getting the message, like, you need to stop doing this so often. Me being me, it's like, but they need me. And that's the problem. I have problems with boundaries, obviously.
Mhm.
It's like, but they need me. I want to help everybody. And that's the thing. It's like, but I want to help everybody. They need me. They need to know this peace. They need to feel the healing. They need to have hope. And then the universe, however you want to call it, God, made me sick. I got really sick, and they're like, you're not going to stop it. We're going to stop it. And so I
That
got
happens
sick.
so much. Yes.
Yeah. So then I got sick, and I was sick for like 3 months. I was sick. And so I couldn't do it.
What kind of
And then,
sickness was it
um,
diagnosed?
yeah. So, a friend of mine told me, if you don't take things facing it, you're going to take it the other way. And literally, that's what happened to me. I ended up with C. diff twice.
Oh.
And so like really sick, like, you know, having to take IV antibiotics, the whole thing, because I couldn't get rid of this bacteria that was in my
Mm.
body.
Wow.
And so I ended up getting rid of it. Obviously, I did get better, but it took a toll on me.
Hmm.
And then when I came back, and apologized to everybody that I had to cancel and everything. And then I let them all know, hey, I can't do groups anymore. I'm just going to do one-on-one. I had several people, not several, a few that got mad, and I still get requests. Would you please just make an exception and do a group? Just for us.
Hmm.
It's like, you did a group for us years ago. We loved it. Could you come do a group again? And it's just like, no. And I
But you can
actually
also say, God told me not to, because
well, and I
I will
do. I
get
just
sick.
explained to them that it made me sick and I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I also tell them, I don't do in person anymore either. The pandemic stopped that. And then I just learned that it was better. It was just for me to do it all via Zoom. So I do all of the one-on-ones via Zoom now.
Yeah. It's great.
But then, like I said, through that, I got to a point where it needed to be, I needed to reach more people with messages that, to give them hope, but not in reading for them, I guess, in that way, just being more of a teacher, being more of a conduit,
Yeah.
and letting them know. And so that's what led me to you and led me to do the program. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And what I would like to say to that too is, it ultimately, and when I was in marriage counseling, somebody, they said this, and I loved the marriage counselor because of that.
mhm,
Because he really helped us, is what your therapist should be for you is to get you to not need the therapist anymore.
that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if somebody keeps going to a therapist over and over and over, the therapist is not really helping you. Right.
Right. Right.
And so, like, if somebody continues to go one-on-one with you, it's not like getting them the help that can help them stand on their own 2 feet. Right. And so
Right.
that's what I love about your program, is you give people tools and you teach them the foundation that they need to go it alone. And when you teach people foundation, they can go help other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a whole abundant.
I
Yeah.
told somebody that the other day. I was having a one-on-one, and I told her, I said, I'm a person that likes to teach the man to fish, not give the man the fish. That old
Yes. Yeah. That's
that
a
old
great one.
proverb, teach a man give a man a
Yeah.
fish he eats for a day, teach a man to fish he eats for a lifetime.
Oh,
So I would
yeah. It's
prefer to teach
awesome.
them to
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
resistant about the Hope program and everything and doing everything. And am I capable? And am I capable of learning all the technology? And am I capable of, really doing this at 59 years old? And, am I crazy trying to do this? And, and then, and I think I told you this too, but anyway, the light bulb went off, and the Blessed Mother I always feel is around me. I feel, and my guardian, I always point here because that's where I feel my guardian angel with me all the time. But anyway, the realization came to me that this is something that the Blessed Mother asked you to do. She brought you this and said, please give people hope. Bring this program to them, give them hope, reach the masses, do this. And here you are doubting. You have, so
Yes. I
much
remember we
doubt,
talked about that.
you
Yeah.
know, and you have so much doubt. But yet the Blessed Mother's asking you to do it. And if she thinks you can do it, then who am I to say that I can't? Of course I can. If she thinks I can, then I absolutely can. And I'm not going to disappoint her. I'm not going to let her down. She's counting on me, to that's one little thing that I'm supposed to be doing on this earth, and only Gail can do that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like Lori can't do it,
Hmm.
somebody else can't do it. Gail, that's what Gail is supposed to do. Then who
Yes.
am I supposed to say
Yes.
that I can? Of course I can. If you think I can, you trusting me, that kind of scares me. I have to admit, that they are trusting me to bring this message
Hmm.
is scary,
Yeah.
because I'm like, really, little me, like,
Yeah.
you want me to do this? And then it's like, yeah, we want you to do it. So that it's like, okay, I guess okay,
Yeah, I
but I've
saw a
always,
really good quote, and I have to share this quote
yeah,
because
go ahead.
I didn't want you to think I was looking down and ignoring you, but because this is so perfect for this. It's okay to be scared. Being scared means you're about to do something really, really brave. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah.
Yeah. And,
So, and
I've
that's
always felt like I was supposed to be in service, of course, I've always, when I was a kid, I was always helping, I was always volunteering, doing all of that, and then, I have a card next to my bed that I see every morning that says, "Here I am, Lord," from that, the Bible verse of, he asks, who will I send? And so, yeah,
yeah. So I
that's
was going to ask because one of the things, it's good to know is what like come blocks, difficulties, or challenges. So it sounds like well, I call it my logical brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it ego, but it's that voice
Sure.
that is your critique and says, you can't do this. Who do you think you
Right.
are? Yeah. And
Right.
so that was, yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
conversation we had.
Yeah. A lot of self-doubt. I have, self-doubt and being resistant. I
Mhm.
always come through, but it takes me a minute.
Yeah. But I would also say that you have this element of where, like the whole situation with the floppy bunny ears, like
Hmm.
where you're afraid that you're going to be rejected or that they're going to think you're crazy and that's not something like I deal with, I mean, people might think I'm crazy, but it's for other reasons than that. But yeah, so you've got in because that stuff probably you carry from your childhood because it was
Yeah.
kind of,
And now people are much more accepting,
mhm.
than they used to be, right? People are much more accepting now, but
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
think people are more curious now. And in it, I think people want to know more. And I don't know if it's our age. I'm more curious and I also really want to figure things out before I move on to the next place. I want my
Yeah.
human mind to know more. I mean, I know my spirit knows more. It's
Right.
just, I've been so blocked from it. But another
Right.
thing that came up is, I don't know if you remember me asking you this, but I think it's interesting for my audience to hear is that when Gail and I were working together was when the Brian Landry case and that Gabby Petito and that she was missing, or they found
Um,
her body finally. They didn't find his. And I was convinced he was running and on the lam somewhere and they were going to find him. But it was so funny because we were talking about something completely different and it came up in my head and I was like, I should ask her. She might know.
Yeah,
She might know
because I
where
can
he
kind of tell
is.
people call, yeah, because
Yeah.
people call me and ask me that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Do you
They'll
know, do you
say,
know what you said? Do you
I
remember?
don't, I don't,
Because, well, first of all, you said, well, I don't, who's that? It's all over the news. And I was
I
like,
don't watch
you
the
don't know.
news.
Yeah.
I don't
And,
watch the
and, and
news.
so I thought, well, that's a plus because she's like not really following it. And
Mm,
then you said, oh yeah, a friend of mine told me about that. But you were like, I don't even know I don't listen to it. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the latest is. And so I said, and you said, can't predict the future. Then you told me
right,
that, what you told me,
right,
what you said earlier in this episode. And so she goes, I just think, I just kind of feel what maybe is happening or is in the present or whatever. You can probably describe it better than me.
mhm,
But you said, I don't know. I just feel that he's dead. And I
mm.
was like shocked because I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because I was convinced he was alive. And it was so
Oh.
funny. You were like, I know. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I really don't. And you're like, I just kind of feel like he's dead. And I think 95 of percent of the people thought he was alive. And so I was like, wow, she did feel that
Yeah.
energy. So
And what? And so did they find him dead?
yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, there
Yeah.
you go.
They
See?
found him dead. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
So,
you
but
go.
they found his car was somewhere in the Everglades, and like the Everglades is like, forget it. Who could you find in the
Yeah.
Everglades? And
Yeah.
then his parents dropped him off there, and so there was this whole thing about, and people had seen the parents and go on a camper with him somewhere, and so the whole story, the backstory was like, it sounds like what parents would go drop their son off and let him go
And
kill
Everglades.
himself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't make sense. And the whole thing about the camper and they had a plan probably.
Yeah.
And then ultimately they continue to keep looking in that place. So they must have had some reason to believe the parents
Yeah.
And yeah, they ended up finding his body there, DNA and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I have people that contact me if somebody goes missing, and they'll say, I can't tell them where the person is, but I can tell them if they're dead or alive.
Hmm.
And I don't know why,
Yeah.
but I just can feel that spirit of that person, and I can tell them, yes, they're dead. And I've had a few where I've had to say, nope, sorry, they're gone. Like when you find them,
Mm.
they're going to be gone. And then there was one lady who was in my Hope group. She was looking for her brother, and I could describe, like, I can't tell you like the city or the place. I can describe where I think they are, and I told her, I said, no, he's living. I said, but he's close. I said, he needs medicine or something. And she was like, I just didn't know if it was worth it for me to go look for him. And I said, absolutely. I said, because he's on the side of a building. I described the side of the building. And I told her, I said, I don't know. Somebody from your family is giving me this information for you. I said, so one of your mom or somebody is giving me the information. I kept telling her it's a woman. And I said, but you need to go look for him. Sure enough, when she went and looked for him, he was on the side of a building. He was really bad off. They had to get him to the hospital. They got him medicine, but then he lived.
So he's like
Um,
homeless, it sounded like. He was.
he was not homeless. He went to a Starbucks or something, and he started to feel bad. And so instead of he couldn't get to his car, so he went like down the alley, um,
Mm.
and he like passed out in the alley.
Oh, so
And
she
so
contacted you and said, we haven't seen him for a few hours,
we
type of thing.
haven't seen him, yeah,
Wow.
in a while. Nobody had seen him. Like it had been like a couple of days.
Oh my gosh,
And
Gail,
so she
that's
said, we haven't seen
amazing.
that. So she was like, can you just tell me if he's dead or alive? Should I go look for him? Should I not? He was kind of estranged from the family, but he wasn't
Yeah,
homeless or anything.
that's
And I said,
crazy.
and now she has a really good relationship with him,
Oh,
you
that's
know?
so amazing. So,
So
yeah, I
it's
mean, I'm going to put contact information for Gail. She doesn't have a website yet. See, that's the
no,
other thing that you do is you don't like you don't need a website. You just need
I
to
don't
like you're
advertise.
serving people, you're helping people, and they're coming and they're get like who knows what would have happened to her brother. So
Yeah.
so I'll put the contact information and your email probably blow up. But anyways, I I hope so. So as we wrap up, because this has gone a little bit longer than I
Yeah,
usually,
yeah,
but
sure.
I love it. I mean, it's great. I mean, I think it's gonna be fascinating. I think my audience is gonna just love you.
Good.
So, what advice would you give somebody who is listening who might be really intrigued or inspired by your story?
Um, yeah, well, so the main thing, of course, my lessons, self-doubt, overcome that. Don't be resistant, when you get the message, act on it immediately. That's the best thing.
Yeah,
Um,
can I say I love the floppy bunny ear story because it doesn't have to make sense, right?
right, it does not have to make sense. It does not. So, but if you act on it and you just, take immediate action, that's really what you need to do in order for you to really excel and to just go with your gut, man. Your inner source of wisdom and the wisdom that you're being given and the divine support that you have. I know that I'm divinely supported. I know I'm divinely inspired. And all of us have that connection. Whether we are aware of it or not, it's there. And there's no way to disconnect from the light. And so just always seek that connection and pay attention to it and go with it.
Yeah, that's amazing information. I want to say, and I want to end by telling you how proud I am of you. Like,
Yeah.
the transformation that you've made and the impact that you're making in the world is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
Nothing
proud of
amazing.
myself, I have to
Yes,
say.
yes.
I
Yeah, that's
didn't
one of the
feel.
things I wanted to ask too is what have you learned about yourself?
Oh, well, I've learned that I am capable. I've learned that I'm not too old. I've learned that I still have a lot to contribute. That I'm still viable and valuable, and that I am going to continue to contribute for as long as I can.
Yeah. I'm so excited for what's to come. Yeah.
Yeah, me
See,
too.
I know 2022 is going to be an amazing year. So
Yeah.
for both of us. All right.
Yeah.
So
Thanks,
thanks so much
Lori.
for being here. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraverage.grandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.